Welcome to the interview show. This is Scott Wood, your host. Right now, we are in the building Jay Arner practices in. We are actually standing right next to the practice space of another very famous Canadian band. But I'm talking with Jay Arner.
Yeah, another famous band. There's another one here.
There's more than one.
Yeah, it's Hedley.
I saw the main guy from Hedley. Exciting, starstruck. And I'm also super starstruck because I'm talking with Jay Arner today. Now, Jay, you have a reputation of being kind of a shy guy. I'm scared.
Well, I mean, not like crazy shy, just shyer than... Well, I mean, like, I work with guys like Adrian from Apollo Ghost and like Patrick Garrity and like from Rollmock and Gal Gracen and Chris Horrific, and those guys are all like very outgoing, and they're like dynamic and engaging frontsmen, and I'm like a little more toned down, and so I feel like I'm not like a weirdo, but relative to the people that I'm in bands with, you could call me shy.
I'm feeling a bit better because shy and interviews don't mix.
No, they don't.
Good. So you're shy in comparison to people who are in local bands who are a lot more outgoing.
Exactly. All those bands they're great bands that I just mentioned.
Great bands from Vancouver, our hometown.
That's right.
So in a second, we're going to do some questions and answers and stuff like that with self-confessed shy guy Jay Arner. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What do you need to do to psych yourself up?
To be frank, I drink a bit of beer. Hi, I'm Jay Arner, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood. I'm Jay Arner, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.
Welcome to The Interview Show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You just heard Midnight on South Granville by a guy named Jay Arner. He's just put out his debut self-titled record. Jay, I'm standing in your we'll say the hallway outside your recording studio, and I'd love you to talk a bit about that song. And I'll warn everybody, the noise in the background could either be the construction next door or Hedley playing in the space next door.
Midnight on South Granville. You know, honestly, I like that song a lot. But I mean, there's practically no chorus. Like, there isn't really a chorus until the end of the song. The beginning of the song is just like 30 seconds of the note F. And then the singing doesn't come in till like a minute. And then the chord changes are really jarring. So I think as like a songwriter, I'm really happy with that song. Like, how weird can you make a pop song, and how can you, I guess, subvert the conventions of like a catchy song?
One of the reasons I like this song is because it references a specific street in Vancouver, and local musicians don't do that a lot. And when they do, it tends to be a different area of town. So, could you set the scene for people who are just listening to this track?
Well, South Granville that's where I live right now, and it's kind of like a rich area. And I mean, I am by no means rich, but there are people like, there are a few other people in bands that live around there, and I guess we just have, like, we live in the apartments that aren't expensive. South Granville, let's see, there's probably I'm just going to assume there's a yoga store there. There's like sort of middle-aged lady fashions. There's like an expensive grocery store, stuff like that. And yeah, I was pretty happy to reference that because it's an uncool area of town. And I'm not going to hide that I live there. It's funny. It's a nice area. There's like you can play badminton in the park.
Jay Arner, your bio calls you a man about town. Why do you think that is?
I've been working with bands in Vancouver for a long time. And I play a lot of different instruments, so I end up playing a lot of different things in a lot of different bands. I make music nonstop, like for myself and for other bands. So I guess you could call me a man about town at this point.
So no, I can't ask you to list the number of bands you've been involved with because that would take too long. It might be a bit boring. But what I will ask you is I'll ask you for 3 projects you have been or are involved with that have helped you hone your craft and become Jay Arner, successful solo artist. Let's
see. There's a band that I'm in right now called Cult Babies that I play drums in, and it was related to another band called Bleeding Hearts. I guess I don't have to keep saying that they're Vancouver bands. These are all Vancouver bands.
You might want to talk about what kind of sound the band has, if it's significantly different from what you do.
It is more raucous, I think. Well, like my style of drumming is drum fills all the time, and they let me do that. So that has really, I've improved my drumming skills quite a bit since like playing with those guys. Fine Mist was a sort of an electronic, like techno pop band. I guess I'm still in with my friend Megan. That's helped me understand MIDI. Because I did do some like sequencing on my album. Like some of the songs have synthesizer bass.
For those who don't know, what is MIDI?
It's musical instrument digital interface, I think is what it's called. It's a way for electronic instruments to communicate with each other. For like a synthesizer and a sequencer to talk to each other, like for the sequencer to play the synthesizer, stuff like that. So it's a way of like having computers play your music for you. Okay, the third band I think would be, there's a band called International Falls that I was the singer of for a number of years in the 2000s. I think, that was a fun band, but I really learned what not to do. There's someone singing in the hallway.
We're in a building where a lot of bands have practice space.
That's a fact. So yeah, International Falls was kind of like, I wanted it to be a solo project, I think, but I tried to involve other people, and that ended up just sort of, I think, especially when we were recording it, it got frustrating for everyone because I guess I just didn't have the guts to make it a solo project because that's, I think, what I really wanted to do. I just like playing all the instruments on my songs because it's just a lot easier because I know what it should sound like, so I can just do it instead of like having to communicate. It adds like a step that's not necessary. So I think I learned that in International Falls. Hi, this is Jay Arner, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood. About last night, did I get wild? Did I take the wine from romance franchise? It's always the same. It's always the same. Oh, don't remind me again. The picture you paint, two snakes in a coil, and they are falling faint. Is this acrylic or oil? And who poisoned your heart? Let's keep it in the dark. Oh, don't remind me again. Don't remind me again. I don't know if uptown's north, but for what it's worth, I'm going as the crow flies. As time comes, remind me again. Don't 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 remind me again. Hi, this is Jay Arner, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.
Welcome back to The Interview Show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You just heard Don't Remind Me by Jay Arner off his self-titled debut. I've got Jay here. I've got him trapped in a hallway outside his recording studio, forcing him to answer my questions. Jay, can you talk about this song?
Yes, I can. Don't remind me. That is about feeling embarrassed about your past, even like the last night past or the decisions you've made in your life. It's don't remind me about those things. I know that I fucked up.
I'll go for the easy one of those two options. When was the last time you embarrassed yourself by being too inebriated in a nightclub?
Gosh, if I get someone's name wrong, that kills me. I hate doing that. I feel so bad. I can't think of the last time I did that specifically because that hasn't happened in a long time. But I'm rambling right now. I think right now is the time that I don't... Answering this question is the thing that I don't want to be reminded about.
He's just going to try to black out the whole interview, guys.
I think this is a great interview, and it's a lot of fun.
This year, you put out Jay Arner, self-titled debut solo release. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. That wasn't even a question.
I know, I'm getting to that. So, after all these years doing work in other bands, was everybody, when they heard that you were doing this, all your music friends, were they saying, Jay, it's about time?
Were they? I think, I don't know. I don't think I got a lot of feedback on this thing because I just sort of went and did it and I didn't really involve anyone's input. But I felt like it was about time because I have always wanted to do something that's ridiculous in the way that a solo project is ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't announce it. I didn't say, I am going solo. And then my friends, they had no... There was no back and forth on this decision.
What did you need to finally feel confident to share your ideas with the world?
Time and experience. Just like a slow build of confidence over the years. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time, and it was not so good in the beginning. I was really nervous. I think the first show I played in Vancouver, I almost barfed before the show. I was probably like 17 at that point. I almost threw up in the bathroom. But just like a very slow build of confidence. And not that I'm the bursting with it now, but I like feel all right about singing in front of crowds of people.
What was the tipping point where you're like, yeah, maybe that was the moment I decided I kind of have to do this?
I think Fine Mist would be the tipping point, because before that I was in bands with guitars mostly, and like synthesizers and stuff, but never like I didn't play anything in that band really. I just sort of stood there and pressed buttons on sequencers and synthesizers. That is a valid way to make music, but I felt naked, and we were playing to bigger and bigger crowds, and I just sort of had to go with it and get over myself. The fear of releasing a solo album, or the fear I had before releasing a solo album, well, that was a real thing. Yeah, if people didn't like it, it would be my fault. There's no one else to blame. So that was something I thought about before putting out the record. But, I mean, you can't be driven by fear. I mean, what would you accomplish? Hi, I'm Jay Arner, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood. Hi, I'm Jay Arner, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.
Welcome back to The Interview Show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You just heard Surf, Don't Sink. That's by Jay Arner off his self-titled debut. I've got Jay here with me. I would love it if you could talk a bit about this one.
Surf, Don't Sink. Okay, what can I say about this song? A lot of MIDI on this one that I mentioned. Well, actually, just the bass. But so the bass line was played by a computer on a synthesizer, but I did program it. So who played it? That's not for me to say.
Did you give the computer a name?
You know, my computer was built by my...
Someone is walking down the hallway trying to get out of this building. We will let her out. She has now left, and I will make Jay finish his answer.
My computer was built by my friend Ben Lyon. He actually named it Cheese Grater. So I guess that's the name of my computer, Cheese Grater. That's who played bass.
So because of all the bands you've been in, you must have a ton of music friends. So when the phone rings and it's one of your music friends saying, "Hey, Jay, I need to borrow something," what are they most likely to call Jay to borrow?
Synthesizer, microphones. Adrian from Apollo Ghost just returned the microphones that he borrowed from me today. Recording equipment in general. I have some nice stuff that I've amassed over the years, and it's nice to help my friends make music. So, I'm more than willing to share.
What are you most likely to call someone else to borrow?
Probably another preamp, a microphone preamp. Because I have one really good one, and then for recording something like drums, you probably want more than one microphone on the drums, and a microphone's got to go through a preamp to boost the volume, basically. The way a microphone works, it doesn't inherently put out a lot of volume, and you got to boost it with like some circuitry, and that's what a preamp is, and the way you boost it affects the sound quality, and you can get preamps that cost $1,500 just to make your mic louder.
Who is the first person to get that call?
I would probably call... I'm actually thinking of doing this. I'm thinking of calling my friend Joe Hirabayashi. He's in a band called Spring in Vancouver, and he has actually the same preamp as me. So I think I'm going to record some drums on Wednesday, and maybe I'll borrow his other preamp.
That sounds like a great place to end the show. Jay Arner, thank you very much for being on my show. At the end of the show, I like the guest to pick one of their tracks and talk a bit about it as I bring up that music.
Emotional Whiteout. That's the last song on the album. What could I say about that song? That song is about feeling a lot of feelings at once. Akin to a whiteout, like a snow whiteout, not a corrective fluid whiteout. And so, I think this wasn't intentional, but the song mirrors that feeling because it is just like a blast of tracks. So many tracks on that song. There's so much going on. So I think sonically and emotionally, that song is really linked well.
Nice. So we're going to listen to Emotional Whiteout by Jay Arner off his self-titled debut. Jay, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a lot of fun.
I must say, now that he realizes the interview is over, he's turned and faced down the hallway, anxious to run back to his studio.
That's not true. I deny that.
If only there were cameras here, they would see that I am right. Thanks for being on the show.
I'll give you the last word. You're right. Hi, this is Jay Arner, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.